and I think they'll be blowing them up faster than they can build them.
Make blood, not war. Listen, I make blood very well.
This is for, yes, a massage of the, as you see on the box. You see? Oh. For those hard-to-get-at places.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Psychic Eric here. Got a different video for you today. I'm going to be doing another movie review. Haven't done one in quite a long time. I only made like 2 reviews on this channel, but I hope to do some more. We'll just see how much time gets in the way, and have to be kind of in the mood to do these sort of things too, just kind of on the spot, just because I have to rewatch the film and get some things lined up to speak about, and it takes a little more planning than any final updates. But anyways, with that said, I do have 2 films I'd like to push out rather quickly, and this one's going to be, they're both from 1970, and I love all kinds of films, especially, I do enjoy a lot of like 70s films, I found out, but it could be any era, particularly the 70s and, the turn of the 70s decade. There just seemed to be a lot of like radical filmmaking, and especially like once Easy Rider came out, it seemed like there was so many more indie filmmakers coming out, and I just always loved that style. They kind of took a lot of things from the French New Wave, and like how French depicted the American films, and then we kind of took that style and translated it into something just a completely different art form, So we're going to be talking about Brian De Palma's, I think it's certainly not his second film. I think he's made one even prior to this debut film. But we're going to be talking about, I think it's his 3rd film. Could be wrong, but we're going to be talking about Hi Mom from 1970. This is a film I've known about a long time, but haven't seen it in quite a while. And it's always been one of my favorite films as far as like dark comedies go, and just kind of a satirical Brian De Palma film. Brian De Palma, if you don't know, he's done films such as Carlito's Way, Scarface, Carrie, Blowout, another big favorite of mine. But I kind of like going back into their careers, when they started. He first started with, I think his first film debut was Greetings, which was actually the first film in the series. Hi Mom's actually the sequel, and that came out in '68. And it also, just on a musical note, features at least like 3 songs from this album by the band Bear, which I think at the time they were called Children of Paradise in the credits, but it's titled here on the album Greetings, Children of Paradise. So it has like 3 songs from that album on the on Greetings. And Greetings is a decent film. I mean, for what it is, it's certainly not as structured, or not enough finances put into that film as much as this one. But certainly, again, another film you could depict a lot of things from, as far as like the social movements at the time. Hippie movement was very strong in '68. Probably filmed a year prior. It could have been. Most films are, but yeah, it's just a very good aspect into like the whole independent filmmaking industry with Brian De Palma. Has a very unique style, and Quentin Tarantino is a huge fan of his. Given he's just one of the best like satirical, he'll always throw some satire in somewhere, or at least some kind of dark comedy subjects, underneath the surface. But yeah, features a young Robert De Niro, and I think the cast from the first film also made it into the second film. Could be wrong on a few aspects, but again, this is just one of those very absurd films. The subject is just very out there for its time, but it's basically about, he goes back home from Vietnam to New York City, and he's trying all of these different social movements and just things that are kind of happening at the time. And it kind of hinted towards this in the first film, where he wants to do, instead of pop art, he wants to call it Peep Art, where he wants to kind of become this filmmaker himself. So he moves into this building, who features like a younger looking Charles During as this landlord, and it also spoofs one of these local commercials like that was premiering in New York City at the time. It was called like the New York Urban Coalition, and does like a whole spoof on this thing where he shows them the apartment, and You know, it's falling apart, and he says he'll take it at the very end. Has like cat litter in the sink, and you know, things are falling off, you know, from the stove. Everything is just completely scattered and, you know, just disintegrating basically. But yeah, it starts out with that. You have this whole theme song intro, Hi Mom. It sounds like it's kind of like a montage of like TV sitcoms at the time, even poking fun at that. And it's just a very offbeat start to the film where he wants to own up this, he sets up this camera like, you know, facing out the window across the street to this whole other apartment building where he's going to be kind of peeping on his neighbors. And he sees all kinds of things, you know, has this like family doing a home video recording of like 2 kids playing instruments, and a photographer inviting women over, and even focuses on like this revolutionary kind of guy who's like putting up all these you know, social movements of black culture and things of that nature. And then he also focuses on this woman who he kind of has an interest in, sort of this like intimate relationship. And he brings up this whole idea. He goes over to her place and speaks about this computer dating, which is, you know, kind of like a precursor to Tinder back in the 60s, but if that was even a real thing, you know, the computer dating. Tries to figure out like how he can film this woman, try to set it up at the right time and like capture the footage. Shows it to like this producer. Doesn't go well because the camera ends up tilting downwards to the black revolutionary guy who is like painting his body literally black for like a photo shoot and leaving everything black except his. And yeah, the whole movie is just absurd. There's a lot to take in for sure on the first viewing, so I don't imagine anybody like picking this up right away, you know. I even had to watch it a few times myself to like, you know, over the years just pick up like what is going on here. So once it focuses on that guy down below, he's like a NYU student probably, you know, part of this whole social movement going on at the time. And there's like all these different shots of like 6mm film interviewing people on the street. And it just feels so authentic that it's probably like real New Yorkers, you know. And at least it feels that way. There's a lot of scenes in here that feel not rehearsed, and they just feel like real people on the spot, you know. There's even one part where it's like a, you know, people are promoting this whole thing about Be Black Baby. It's like this kind of theater production going on, and this revolutionary student's part of that play. And Robert De Niro eventually gets interested in this whole thing, this whole concept, and he tries out for a part in the play where he acts as this policeman. And goes well, I guess. Doesn't really have a legit ending. It just kind of transitions into the whole theater production. And this is all shot, like I said, in 16mm, black and white. It's probably like the big meat of the film, you know, one of the more standout segments from the film itself. And I definitely like recommend you guys checking it out in your free time on YouTube. It's probably out there. It's like probably 15 minutes long. Just one of the best acted. Like, it feels like so real on the spot, authentic, whatever other adjectives you want to add along with that, of like pure improvisational acting at its best. Features like, so it's basically with this whole play going on, including the revolutionary dude, inviting these like liberal New Yorkers, these participants that want to be part of this play, and they have to like try to live the black lifestyle. And things go pretty well, kind of confusing, it's kind of happening along the way, and eventually kind of turns a little sour, a little dark at times, and then by the end of it, you're just like, you know, the whole thing's just twisted around, going a different route than you ever expected, you know. Kind of satirical at first, but then it's just like, wow, this is kind of heavy subject matter for its time. But then by the end of it, you kind of get the sense that, yes, this is acting, and this is all very structured by De Palma, you know, himself. And it's just one of the most submersive scenes that will kind of stick with you for a while. You're just like, wow, that was some sublime acting there, you know, the improv choices and whatnot. But yeah, the film's kind of set up in like these, I think there's like 4 different chapters it has, and that's like the 3rd chapter. So by the 4th chapter, you know, Robert De Niro's still kind of confused. He's still in like the relationship with, I forgot to mention her name, Jennifer Salt, who is the actress who played notably in Midnight Cowboy. And she's also in the next film I'm going to be reviewing as well. But anyway, I think her father was like in the film industry, and she had, you know, kind of credentials to that connection, and offered to play all these many roles during the time period. But Robert De Niro having a kid with her, and he witnesses on something on television. I think it's like more of the Be Black Baby promoters, you know, infiltrating this apartment building, and things don't go well there. And you could say Robert De Niro's character, John Rubin, I forgot to mention his name, he is basically, you know, kind of turning into this like Travis Bickle character. You know, if you guys see Taxi Driver, it's almost like a precursor to that in a way. Robert De Niro's getting very frustrated by this. He's trying to fit in. A lot of like antisocial conflicts going on with him, and he's starting to like read books on like guerrilla warfare, the urban guerrilla. It kind of trails out at the end with you know, kind of a twist ending, kind of a dark twisted ending, and he throws the title on the screen at the very end with saying "Hi Mom," you know, giving her a shout out, rather. And yeah, it's just a very wicked, absurd, offbeat film that it's just kind of like always been on my mind over the last few years, just because it sticks out as just like one of the weirdest films to come out in the De Palma catalog. You know, it doesn't really necessarily fit alongside Scarface or Carrie or Sisters, you know, all of his different films, but it's just really cool to see like the evolution of a filmmaker's career, and it's just got this kind of unique quality about it that I really endure. And even the soundtrack itself feels very customized, and even for a short length film that it is, has a lot going for it. So I guess I recommend it to you guys. It's just kind of more of a personal favorite of mine. I can't quite give it like a, you know, classic movie review rating, but it is rated currently a 6.2 on IMDb, which I guess is pretty fair. Not really to the classic status of the 7-star rating, but it, like I said, very, very much a film of its time. Hasn't necessarily aged all that well as far as the humor goes, and a lot of the humor and the stories kind of intertwining can kind of confuse the viewers, I feel like. But it is more solidly structured than Greetings. The whole film is on YouTube, I did check, and I actually don't own a physical copy of it. I remember long ago, my first exposure to this film was at my local discount store back in my hometown. I remember seeing the VHS and it just said "Hi Mom," and I actually showed it to my mom. She read the back. She's like, "I don't think so." You know, I was like, 6 or 7. I had no idea what I was picking up, but kind of glad I didn't get exposed to it that early. But it's always been a film on my mind, and crazy movie poster as well. So yeah, it's a pretty fun film. Can be kind of dry humor for those that are not into that, sort of, Woody Allen sort of dry humor maybe. But I'm not like a Woody Allen fanatic, but it's kind of in that same light, you could say. Kind of with the romance thing going on, and some of the humor that just gets really quickly cut from the film. And there's a lot of like different interesting transitions. Check it out. Hi Mom. And next film review should be coming out maybe next month. We'll see. But yeah, like I said, do have that thing planned for interviewing some local musicians from Nebraska. I won't give out the name just yet. I kind of want it to be a surprise, just kind of give exposure to them right on the spot. So should be coming out shortly. And with COVID cases rising, I hope it gets done, but we shall see. So take care, and we shall see you soon.
You are a pillar in the system that is oppressing the black people and all the poor people in the world, no matter what color they are.
I don't know what are you talking about.
Avon Street! Avon!
Isn't that great?
You know, tragedy is it's a funny thing.